Hey, it's PD Fenton. I'm going to go over the books I've read this February, but first I'd like to address the elephant in the room. Hi there. No, but seriously, I'm in the process of going through eye surgery, which is why I have one lens in here and one lens not in here. Anyways, on to the books I read in February. The first book I finished in February was Amulet, Prince of the Elves by Kazu Kibuishi. It's the number book in the Amulet series. For those unfamiliar with Amulet, it's your typical isekai where a teenage protagonist is the chosen one who can save the world. This time, her brother and mother are along for the ride in a completely different fantastical realm populated by elves, trolls, human-animal type people, and all sorts of cool things, like houses that turn into giant fighting mech robots. I think it's a pretty cool series. I'm reading it with my 5-year-old, and we are just enjoying it. She loves the pictures. I do too. She loves the story. I do too. We get a lot of backstory on one of the main. I don't really know what's going to happen. I don't want to know. I just want to enjoy the ride. But if you liked books like Bone, I think you'd enjoy Amulet. It's not the same, but it's pretty dang good. My next book is Jayber Crow by Wendell. I already have a long form video on this, but I'll just reiterate. It's about a small town barber and his life. It's a slow book. It reminds me of the movie Perfect Days or the film Peterson, starring Adam Driver, both of which I recommend. If you like slow stories that are just about people and the people they know, it's a good book. It's got some sadness. Spoiler for about 10 seconds and also trigger warning, but this might matter to you. It involves the death of a child at one point, which, as a father, hit me very hard. Like I just hit the mic. But beyond that, it's a beautiful story. It's worth a read. I've not read the rest of the Port Williams series, but this definitely makes me want to read more Wendell, so I recommend it. The next book that I finished in February was Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. And it was my fourth go-round, possibly only third, but I think fourth time reading it. I was reading out loud to my wife. We started late last year, paused for the holidays, had to backtrack about 50 pages to pick up with the story again and keep going. I need to do a longer video about this, possibly several. It takes a lot to unpack, but it is one of my favorite books, which I don't get. I get parts of it. There's a lot about quality, and that's the whole point of the book. Robert Pirsig is pursuing quality, and what does it mean? I'm not giving it justice. It's about a father and son who can't communicate on a motorcycle trip across the country with beautiful descriptions of the towns they go through and the people they meet. It's about how communication is so impossible between people. It's about how slop was infiltrating our lives as early as the 1960s and probably beyond. It's about how podcasts and long form video might be the descendants of the Chautauqua, a traveling lecture series that used to go around the country in the early 20th and late 19th century. This is a book about long thoughts. It's a book that takes long thoughts and it takes a long time to extract it. I don't recommend you read it once. I recommend you read it at least twice. Recommend, recommend, recommend. Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. Please hold system processing. The next book I finished in February was The Dip by Seth Godin. It's a business-minded sort of book, but not entirely. If you have any sort of self-help, entrepreneurial, go mindset, it might be useful for you. However, it basically, in one slim volume, covers what you're going to get in other books or from other people in longer form. And that is that creatives and creative endeavors of any sort will eventually come up to a point where, hey, this is not fun anymore. This is getting hard. It's what Stephen Pressfield refers to as resistance. It's what marathon runners refer to as the wall. Although for actual marathon training, it could be just getting out for your second run in your marathon training program. Godin says that when you reach the dip, you need to get through it because everything you want lies on the other side. However, he also includes the fact that maybe the dip is not a dip in this case, but instead a dead end, or as he calls it, a cul-de-sac. He encourages determining before you get to the point of no return, is this something I want to push through, or is it of no value? If it's not of any value to you, if it won't further your careers, your desires, or betterment of yourself, don't do it. But if it's everything you want, you have to get through, because everything you want lies on the other side. I think if you got something from what I just said, you might not need to read the book, because it really doesn't take much to say that. And you can get it in other books too. But if you've never heard that before, or you need encouragement, maybe you should pick up The Dip by Seth Godin. I can't say I don't like it, but I just heard it before. The next book I read in the month of February was E.B. White's book, Stuart Little, which is the second time I've read it in my life. First time in the last, probably 25 years or so. I like E.B. White's writing. I loved Trumpet of the Swan, and I'm looking forward to reading Charlotte's Web in the near future. We have a 5-year-old. What are we going to do? The thing about Stuart Little is while the writing is beautiful, I don't quite like the story as much as I did in Trumpet of the Swan. The Stuart is likable enough. He's a boy who is the shape of a mouse. He's not actually a mouse, okay? He was born to human parents. Forget that movie. That movie's terrible. This is better than that movie, okay? Sorry, Michael J. Fox. Not sorry, Jonathan Lipnicki. The problem that I had with this is it's too disconnected. I think the theme is that Stuart needs to find his own way in the world. But the amusing anecdotes that make up the various chapters of the book don't lead to anything. You don't see character growth in Stuart. You see him pursuing ideas almost like Toad from The Wind in the Willows, picking up one hobby after the next. It's apparent as a joke with his older brother, getting into one different thing after the other and always getting distracted. But that's actually applicable to Stuart as well. We don't know how his journey ends. E.B. White ends the book at a place where we have no idea what happens next. I think that he did that intentionally. I have no problem with the ending, but I don't think it came in a straight line to it that I could follow. I'm willing to be proven wrong, and I still think it's worth reading because of the writing quality and just the charmingness of the story, but it's not his best work. And the final book that I read in the month of February was the Wingfeather Saga, Book 1. On the Edge of the Dark Sea of Darkness. I always get it wrong when I say it, so I had to read it. It's by Andrew Peterson, a Christian singer-songwriter and fantasy author. And the cool thing is that there are Christian fantasy authors out there who aren't J.R.R. Tolkien and C.S. Lewis, whom I love. However, we need writers that are current, contemporary, and still making good art. As someone that grew up in the church in the 80s, 90s, and beyond, there's a real tendency in the Christian culture to have the Christian version of something be an expanded version of a gospel tract with just some stage setting tacked on. Wingfeather does not go there. Like Narnia, you could read this book series without being a Christian and still enjoy it. What I didn't care for is, perhaps unfairly, I found this book's tone uneven. There are parts where it is very silly, almost like he was trying to be Terry Pratchett with footnotes for extra humorous jokes, or just trying to be a bit more like the Harry Potter world with like funnily named characters and different species. But it comes together at the end. And what I've heard and look forward to seeing is that the next book in the series is more cohesive and has a more serious tone. In book 1, I couldn't tell what the stakes were for a while because it was so fanciful and silly. Then I realized, for the first part of the book, it's not a fantasy book, it's actually a boy's own adventure. As Janner and Tink and her sister Lily are trying to discover the mystery of the town they live in, while dealing with the terrible Fangs of Dang, lizardmen soldiers that have invaded the land and made life miserable for everyone since the time they were born. I'm not sure where the series is going, but as it was given to us as a gift, and we're going through it with our daughter, I'm going to find out. I know there's still a few more days left in February, but with the aforementioned eye surgery, I don't think I'll be reading too quickly, so I'm not going to finish anything else. So that's what I got for February. I hope you enjoyed this video, and that some of these books might be ones you'd like to read. Until next month, or next video, have a great day.